Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
As we take a look at local news now, the Lloydminster Rescue Squad has received a new piece of equipment specifically for water use. Now, the squad's water division has been in desperate need of an upgrade, with their previous technology being from the 90s.
It's a remotely operated underwater vehicle, so in the event someone has an accident, if someone drowns or an article from underwater needs to be recovered, then we have the capability to do that. It's an upgrade from what we had previous. So we used to have a Pro 4, and this is a substantial upgrade. So we're excited for the new technology, the maneuverability, everything that this new one has to offer.
With major funding coming from Cenovus Energy and Boundary Ford, as well as a gala held last year, the squad credits the community for this new equipment.
We are so fortunate and so grateful to this community. It's just something that it actually touches our heart too, that we're able to get this, get the money, get the equipment, and then we do our training and to provide, rescue services to all, or water recovery to all provinces, I should say.
The new equipment will be tested as early as next week. The Lloydminster Lions Club, with the help of the Saskatchewan Health Authority and Alberta Primary Care Network, held a diabetes education night to provide information and tools for those with type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Here's Abby St. John with more.
The Lions Club has been supporting and advocating for those with diabetes for over a century at the request of Helen Keller.
Vision loss is one of the primary causes of it is the side effects of having diabetes, right? So as a result, because we were charged by Helen Keller back in about 1912, something like, maybe a little bit later than that, but she asked us to be the Knights for the Blind, which she wanted Lions clubs to help in any way that we could to prevent and help with people that have vision loss. So that's where it comes from.
The education night is a way for those in the border city who have diabetes to get the information they need locally without having to travel outside of Lloyd to find it.
We're just here because the wonderful Lions Club is hosting diabetes night, so we're helping them put together it for the community. We have a lot of vendors here with pumps, CGMs, lots of programs in the community that diabetics can reach. So we just want to make the public aware of all of the tools and resources that they have available and offer our services and whatever we can do for them. Diabetes is a chronic disease, it's lifelong, and so many people have diabetes that don't even know they have diabetes and don't even know where to go when they have diabetes. So this just offers a lot of information to those people where they can get it all in one place and not have to go searching for it.
Having information and healthcare professionals help locally is what the Lions Club wants to showcase to those in the city, especially younger people dealing with type 1 diabetes.
Having a local group and letting them know what's available here for help, instead of they can call them and talk to them, the local health people. They can even go and visit them. They don't have to drive to Edmonton or Saskatoon.
The Lions Club is also working towards creating a support group for members of the community with type 1 and 2 diabetes to connect with one another.
So just to be able to talk to somebody that has gone through diabetes and just say, what do I do, or how do I get around this stuff? And that's the idea of the support group. It's very informal. The support group will give them contacts for health problems or treatments, changes in things that they can do with their diabetes control. And that's the main thing, information and social help, psychological, just for somebody to talk to.
For more information, visit the Lions Club or the Saskatchewan Health Authority's websites. Abby St. John, Primetime Local News.
Lloydminster can now boast the best young videographers and photographers in all of Canada after 3 Holy Rosary students took home top prizes at the National Skills Competition. Brent Bellenzer won the top prize for photography, and the team of Jericho Melanto and Lucas Freely won for video production. Now, the students have been working towards this moment since grade 10. Bellenzer had to submit 11 photos over 2 days, while the video duo had to complete a video each day in only a few hours. They had to keep a close eye on their rubric, as the video team only won by 1 point. Now, the kids credit a lot of their success to their teacher, Sky Ferguson.
I think it just goes to show, just like with, photography and videography, it just kind of shows just how amazing Ferguson's programs are in the school, and just how hard she works and how much, passion she puts in into her work and into us.
Now, this is not the first time that Holy Rosary Communications media students have taken home awards. In total, they have 18 medals, including 4 national banners.
Brent, actually, my photographer, won last year. He got bronze at nationals. And then the videography boys, this is their 3rd time going at it, and this is the first time they actually won and made it all the way. So that was something pretty special, especially that none of them gave up. Brent especially said last year when he got bronze that he's like, next year I'm getting gold. And he put in the extra work and spent the time to learn the extra skills. And the boys, they didn't give up, and they understood what they needed to do better to make sure that they stood out.
Manaloto has plans to film weddings and chuck wagon races this summer. Now, a guest author attended Jack Kemp Community School earlier this week to teach students an important lesson on residential schools. Our Shelby Clark has more in this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
Author Christy Jordan Fenton brought 4 books that are all based on her mother's experience in a residential school. Christy says usually students have a passionate reaction when learning the trauma and heartache through her journey.
A lot of children really gain strength from how Margaret managed to be her own hero and to survive the schools, whether they're coming from, sometimes have new Canadians coming from overseas and children who've experienced some pretty harsh things themselves. And then when they see that Margaret as a child was her own hero, it gives them hope for themselves.
Christy believes showing students an example of a role model and hero in Indigenous culture is extremely important.
How really amazing it is that so many Indigenous communities have wholeheartedly embarked on this healing journey, and that there's so many special things going on when you see little ones, dancing tiny tots at a powwow, to see that after just a generation or 2 before, having parents or grandparents who are in residential school. It's really something to be celebrated, and I think it's important for children to start understanding how really special and remarkable that is. So.
Her stories have a strong and kid-friendly way of teaching kids the horrors of residential schools, with a backstory from her mother behind each book. Christy has been touring around schools all across Saskatchewan since the start of the new year. She plans to continue on her tour with a total of 60 presentations. Her favorite part of this tour is the major impact it leaves young Indigenous students after she reads.
Young Indigenous children come up and introduce themselves by what nation they come from, who they belong to, and by their traditional names. And I get very emotional every time a young person comes up and shares that with me.
And that's it in this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Lakeland College's doors are open for program info sessions on March 3rd and 10th. RSVP now at lakelandcollege.ca/info sessions.
Farm and Food Care Saskatchewan is bringing their Meals from the Farm initiative to schools across the province. With more, here's Thomas Wildman.
Today we have Clinton Monchuk, the Executive Director of Farm Food Care Saskatchewan, and he's here today to talk about the Meals from the Farm initiative that will be taking place here in Lloydminster as well as across all of Saskatchewan. So thank you so much for being with us today, Clinton.
Thank you very much for having me, Thomas.
All right, Clinton, tell me a little bit about the Meals from the Farm initiative, where it came from, and what the main points of it are for schools and you guys bringing it to schools across Saskatchewan?
Sure. So really, there's two main points to this. One is to make sure kids get a meal, right? So the schools that we've partnered with, like the Jack Kemp School in Lloydminster, there's 5 other schools in Saskatchewan that we've partnered with. The whole idea is to give them some food, right? So we have great support from the local Tim Hortons, who are bringing the meals to the schools. And then the second thing, from feeding the kids, this is an opportunity to actually learn a little bit more about how your food is being produced. So within the packages that each student and teacher get, there'll be the opportunity to learn a little bit more about, how that egg that's in that breakfast sandwich that the kids got, where did it come from? Or maybe a better understanding of how the beef is grown within Canada for that beef jerky that they're going to be eating, or the milk that they have. So all these different learning experiences that the kids can have to understand more about how their food is being made. And we have some really great opportunities. We partnered with Agriculture in the Classroom Saskatchewan to make sure there's learning objectives for each of the grades. There's quizzes that they can do. And if the top class, for example, in Jack Kemp gets a prize that they can use to have a pizza party or buy games or whatever the teacher in the classroom decide. So it's a really engaging opportunity for kids to learn more about where their food is actually grown and how it's grown.
And so, Clinton, I can see that you're in the tractor right now, so obviously you are a longtime farmer. Tell me how important it is for you as a farmer and producer to be able to get these kids to learn about where their food comes from and the importance of that for youth, as there isn't as many youth that are connected to farms these days as there used to be.
Yeah, so we have less than 3% of the population that actually has a direct connection to a farm. So me, obviously, I'm seeding right now, so it's pretty obvious I'm a farmer. But I'm a 4th generation farmer. We've been doing this in our family since 1906 here in Saskatchewan, and it's something we're very proud of. But we're finding, because of this movement of generations to more urban settings and non-primary production practices, we need to make sure we get out there and we talk to the youth so they know, what this big thing is behind me and why am I growing barley? What's it for? Or how we raise chickens and cattle, to make sure that when they go to the supermarket or that restaurant, like you mentioned, they have a better understanding of how that food is being produced. Now, and if they do have questions, they already know now that they can go to Farm and Food Care Saskatchewan or Agriculture in the Classroom and actually talk to somebody who does know how their food is being grown and answer the questions that they have. So it's a great opportunity to engage at a young age and just plant that little seed, if I can use the pun, to have that growth within their hearts, so they're a little bit more interested in food production in the future.
And Clinton, how long have you guys been running the Meals from the Farm initiative?
The schools that have taken part in this is our 3rd year we've been doing this. The Jack Kemp School in Lloydminster is a great partner to have, and we look forward to doing it again.
Thank you so much for all the information, Clinton, and we will be heading out when the Meals from the Farm is at Jack Kemp School here in Lloydminster, so we will have more of coverage of the Meals from the Farm initiative coming up very soon for you. And again, thank you so much for being with us today.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas.
And now it's time for us to check in with Abby St. John once again for another look at your evening weather forecast.
Thanks so much, Jace. Taking a look at our current temperatures, 29 still here in Lloydminster. So we've seen a very warm day out today, almost hitting that 30 mark. We are under a severe thunderstorm watch, not a warning, but it is under watch. So definitely keep an eye out for that throughout the evening and into tomorrow as well. 22 out in Red Deer and in Edmonton, 18 out in Jasper, Edson and Whitecourt and up in Athabasca, and 21 out in Rocky Mountain House. So similar temperatures. We're a little bit sitting on a little bit warmer side, so that's always nice to see. see. And then on Saskatchewan side, North Battleford is sitting at 30 degrees, 29 in Saskatoon, 30 out in Melfort, 31 in Prince Albert, and 28 in Meadow Lake. So definitely warm temperatures we are seeing. Now taking a look up north, 22 in Uranium City, 24 in La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, 23 out in Flin Flon and South End Reindeer, and 16 in Wollaston Lake, 19 in Stony Rapids. So temperatures are kind of fluctuating a little bit on the Saskatchewan side. 24 in Fort McMurray and Fort Chipewyan for Alberta, 21 out in High Level, 15 in Peace River, 16 out in Grand Prairie, and 13 in Slave Lake. So a little bit cooler of temperatures, but still sitting fairly nice in those. And then down south, Coronation is at 29 degrees, 30 out in Medicine Hat, 23 in Lethbridge, 25 in Calgary, and 23 out in Banff. And then on the Saskatchewan side, 30 out in Kinsersley, 29 in Swift Current, 30 also out in Moose Jaw, 21 in Estevan, 25 in Regina, and 27 in Yorkton. So similar temperatures, definitely keeping that warm trend going. And then overnight tonight across the region, 14 in both Meadow Lake and Bonnyville, and there is thunderstorm watches there as well, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And then 12 degrees will be the low in Provost, 16 in Isle Cross, and 15 in Paradise Hill. All sitting a little bit cloudy, but still fairly clear evenings tonight. In Mirnam, it will be 12 degrees as well as out in Wainwright. A little bit more heavier cloud coverage in Mirnam. 15 in Pearceland with a chance of thunderstorms, so definitely keep an eye out for that. 13 in Unity, sitting fairly clear out tonight. And then 11 in Calgary with a chance of thunderstorms, so definitely keep an eye out for that as well. Here in Lloydminster tonight, we're dropping to 14 degrees, so still a fairly warm evening tonight, partially cloudy, and so fairly clear night tonight, but definitely keep an eye out for any storms coming our way, as we'll see that in the next couple of days. And then taking a look at your 7-day forecast, like I said, we're under a severe thunderstorm watch, 76% chance of thunderstorms tomorrow with a high of 21 and a low of 12. And then on Friday, it is going to be a fairly cloudy day, so not much sun, and a high of 21 and a low of 15. And then on Saturday, it will also be a high of 21 and a low of 15. However, there's a 75% chance that we will see some thunderstorms for the day on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have a fairly sunny day out with some cloud coverage, but there is that 48% chance of showers, but it will be a high of 26 and a low of 15. And then to start your Monday off, there's a 91% chance of some showers with a high of 24. So it'll be a fairly warm day, but there is a chance that we'll see some rain throughout. And then on Tuesday will be a high of 23 with a mix of sun and clouds, so that's something nice to look forward to. And then on Wednesday, it will be a mostly a morning rain and then mostly cloudy day in the afternoon, but we'll have a high of 25 degrees. So at least it'll still be a little bit warm, and we're finally getting that rain we need, so that's always very nice to see, but definitely be cautious when you're driving with the rain as well. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. Jace Mackey will have more news coming up after the break.
Stephanie Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a lawyer and mediator at Hankin Divorce Law and Mediation here in Lloydminster, back for another episode of Healthy, Thriving Family After Divorce. And Stephanie, we are wrapping up our theme for the month, which has been child support, talking today about retroactive child support. So let's get into it and start off by explaining what exactly this is.
Well, Stacey, I thought this would be a really interesting topic because back in 2020 and 2021, so in the heat of COVID, the Supreme Court of Canada actually revisited this issue afresh after the original principles of retroactive child support were created by the Supreme Court back in 2006. So retroactive child support is child support that's ordered to be paid for a time that's already passed. So this is distinct from what we call arrears of child support. So arrears of child support is child support that's already been ordered that hasn't been paid, the amount that's been ordered that hasn't been paid, retroactive child support is actually an adjustment to that order, an adjustment to back pay. So where there's been a material change of income level, the parent who pays child support, to the parent who pays child support, the law says that that paying parent needs to change their child support accordingly. Where that doesn't happen, that paying parent could be ordered to pay child support based on an underpayment of a past amount. So for instance, if a parent was supposed to be paying $800 a month, but they actually should have been paying $1,000 a month, then that retroactive amount that the court could order is that $200 a month times however many months they've been deficient.
So how far back can you go when you're looking at claiming retroactive child support?
This is the million-dollar question. So this is a very gray area of the law, but there's been some principles courts have put out there, and especially in this more recent Supreme Court of Canada case. So there's a few things to think about with respect to the date regarding how far back we can go. So there's the general rule, and then of course there's the exceptions. So first, let's start with that general rule. So there's a presumptive date that's been established by the Supreme Court of Canada, which says that we typically would go back to what we call the date of effective notice, and no longer than 3 years prior to the date of formal notice, which would be by commencing proceedings. So what does effective notice mean, and how do we give that? So that's really an indication given by the recipient parent that they want to revisit or renegotiate child support. So to prove such notice, it just has to be in writing. So an email, a text message, nothing complex, just something to say, I want to look at this again. In the context of a paying parent who's seeking to decrease support, they changed their job and they're not making as much money, where there wasn't as much overtime or something, effective notice by the paying parent would need to include that proof of the income reduction, not just saying, a text message saying my income's been reduced. So that's the general rule. Now let's look at the exceptions. So there's been courts at all levels across Canada who've looked at this idea of the how far back we go. But this 2020 and 2021 cases at the Supreme Court of Canada said that there might be exceptions to this general rule of the effective notice to go back even further. So there's certain factors, of course, that's what the court does. They come up with factors that court would look at to determine how far back. So let's talk about them. There's 4 of them. So the first one, the recipient parent's reason for delaying their application to actually have the support increased. Second, the degree of the paying parent's blameworthy conduct. So did they kind of evade the recipient, or are they upfront and saying, yes, this is my income level? Third, the circumstances of the child. And fourth, the hardship to the paying parent. Simply put, the court is not very tolerant of delays in adjustments to child support. So it's really important that people keep up with their support numbers.
Stephanie, are there any strategies that can be implemented to avoid some of these issues with retroactive child support?
Well, these numbers, as you can imagine, can be really significant. I mean, even $200 a month times, 3 years, that can be a significant lump sum. And it can also be a struggle for the recipient who struggled for years and had to try to fight for the amount that is owing to them by law. So there's been a positive obligation through the court, all these different court rulings. There's become a positive obligation on parents to exchange income levels at least once a year. So of course, you always need to look at it again if there's been a change to your income level, but at least that once a year, once every 12 months, you tend to look at this, the income levels between the parents. So my recommendation is every year in the spring, taxes are done, have a look at each other's taxes, and then you can determine, is the difference in income enough to warrant that change to child support?
All right, Stephanie. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you chatting with us, and we will be back with a new topic next week.
Thanks.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Glenn Stang, the CEO of Synergy Credit Union, is joining me today. We have some exciting news to talk about. Glenn, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me, Stacey. I really appreciate you.
Well, you
inviting
guys
me in.
have, yeah, you have a big event happening all throughout this year. You're celebrating 80 years, the 80th anniversary of Synergy Credit Union. Glenn, that's just an amazing feat. Can you tell me about some of the things that you guys are going to have planned throughout the year?
Oh gosh, there's just so many things on the go. But this June, we're going to kick things off here right away with appreciation events in all of our communities. With that, we're going to have our profit shares redemption processes, and again, looking forward to something later on this fall. In addition, we've seconded a local artist to do a bit of a rebrand. An 80th anniversary type logo for us. We're going to be launching that soon. That's a pretty exciting project. In addition, we've been involved locally as well with just having local Indigenous artists painting masks as well, which will be on display outside of our building and around the community soon. So a number of things on the go for sure.
Well, 80 years is quite a long time for any, business to thrive and survive. So what is it that keeps Synergy alive in the communities?
It's our people. Right from the very first, when we first started years ago, in a lot of local members will remember it starting in a single room in the co-op, in the basement, I actually believe, of the co-op. And then from there it progressed into um, what was a first office in the corner of 49th and 50th. And then it moved across to where our big downtown building was along 50th, progressed there into our new building now on the corner of 50th and 44th. Um, and so again, it's all about people. We were here when people needed us most. Most of our members will remember us starting out focused mostly on agriculture, because that was really what everybody, for the most part, was employed with back then, to what it has grown today, where we serve a large portion of the consumer marketplace in Lloydminster area, the communities that we serve, residential mortgages, also agriculture, but we've really grown and adapted to the commercial market space as well. It occupies 30% of our book of business today. And I actually think it's around 5,400 members are entrepreneurs, home-based businesses of the 29,000 members that deal with us today. So we really serve that marketplace very, very well. So, and again, our people have always been there. They continue to adjust their skill sets, learn so they can serve members better. We're engaged in the communities we serve. I don't think there's an event in any community that occurs where Synergy isn't there, well represented by its people.
Now, can you tell me about the benefits of being a member of Synergy? I know you talked about the connection to the community. We see the Synergy name on a lot of different things around the community. So if you're a member of Synergy, I obviously you feel like you're a part of this bigger entity, but what are some of the benefits to being a member, Glenn?
Yeah, well, we're a cooperative financial institution, and as such, we share our profits back to our membership. So every year, our board asks us to set aside 35% of our profits, and it gets distributed back to our members in the form of profit share, back to our teammates in the form of employee profit sharing, and lastly, into Synergy Shares, which is a fund that we allocate capital distributions in all of our communities to really support the social fabric of our growing, vibrant communities. And we really believe that that circle, where it starts with, communities raising good children become great leaders, leaders continue to build communities, that continuum. We really believe that wholeheartedly and get very actively engaged in that on a regular basis. So that's part of the cooperative philosophy.
Well, Glenn, we congratulate Synergy on 80 years. And if anybody's looking to follow along for information and find out what's going to be happening in some of the communities, what is the best way to keep up to date with that information?
Well, a couple of ways. First, visit our website on a regular basis. We post things there on a regular basis. And then follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. And recently, we're just starting to get into TikTok. So I know how some of our team is pretty happy about that. So.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Glenn, for joining me today. And we will be
Yeah.
following you along as well as we go through the celebrations for 80 years here over the next few months.
Yeah, thanks, Stacy. I'm pretty proud of my team. They do such great work.
Just taking a look one last time at your weather, I just want to point out that the areas surrounding Loon Lake and Meadow Lake are now under a severe thunderstorm warning, so definitely keep that in mind. Lloydminster and the surrounding areas still on a watch, so just keep watching that over the next few days. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast one last time, 21 will be the daytime high for the next few days up until Saturday, and there is chances of thunderstorms throughout those days as well. And then on Sunday, we have a high of 26 with a mix of sun and cloud and a small chance of some morning showers. And then on Monday, a high of 24 with a 91% chance of showers, so definitely keep that in mind. 23 will be your daytime high on Tuesday, and to wrap things up on Wednesday with a high of 25 and a mostly cloudy day. But that is a final look at your 7-day forecast for this evening.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Abby. And thank you all for joining us for this edition of Primetime Local News on this Wednesday night. Have a great night, and we'll be back here again tomorrow. See you then.